bitch, I'm built different. Yeah, put a little built different. Built different.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Radical Cruise podcast, where we dig deep to reach high, and of course, it's always progress through action. I am your co-host, Payron Baxter.
I'm your co-host, Ram Sandoval.
And I'm your humble producer, Ron Cabuno.
And we are here on Juneteenth, and I say that with an F. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. RC, as our resident white, how did you celebrate Juneteenth? What was your specific things that you did? We are now documenting this, and we will take notes to spread it out to the people. What did you do today?
Absolutely. I appreciate you putting me on blast like that. But I was able to go to the Juneteenth celebration at the Crossing Paths Park in Indian Trail last week.
Nice.
It was amazing. I had the lady's name right here, and I want to get it, and I'll get it by the end of the episode. But she had a poem that she read about Harriet Tubman that in my tracks from beginning until end. My daughter was right next to me. She did a little project on Harriet last year. So
there you go.
The connection there. It was really well done. It was right after a bunch of rain, so it wasn't all that well attended, but everyone there was in the best spirit, and it was great music. It was great camaraderie, and we talked to a lot of people, and I thought that it was fantastic. Today, I was busy from ship to stern, so if there was some good stuff out there, I kind of missed it.
All good, all good. And Rom, seems that you went to a some sort of event where they were talking about Juneteenth-esque things and DEI adjacent whatnots.
Yeah, so I was at an organization that's in cybersecurity. It's global. They're a certifying body, but they have a chapter here in Charlotte. They meet up once a month. I started to stay home. I was off work today, and then I checked out who was presenting and the content, and it was about innovation and inclusion. DEI, boogeyman, right? And so I really wanted to hear what they were talking about, and I think it was a great presentation, but talking about diversity and inclusion and equity, but more in the sense of not just skin color or gender and that sort of thing, which like is people who are practicing DEI or very aware what DEI is know that it's not just skin color and gender, but also neurodiversity, diversity of thought, right? And especially how that actually contributes to as a positive and a benefit in the cybersecurity space, going through, all kinds of logs and identifying threats and just diversity within the teams, right? So it was a great conversation, talked about innovation, AI, cybersecurity, things that, very relevant to me. DI, or whatever you want to call it nowadays, like I've always said, the term DI might go away, but the spirit and essence of what it actually means and represents, it really doesn't just go, it's not going to go away just because somebody mandated it to go away. Those are things that are within business that actually have value, right? And so, I had a story last week where somebody mentioned in a meeting with 100 people and the leadership of a company, and they said, your company doesn't look that diverse. It was a woman who said this, and she said, it looks like a lot of white men. And and she called it out. And so and he said, well, I think what's happening with DI, I think it's wrong. And that was the response. But, these are things that people can and should continue to vocalize in the real world and will, just because it's the nature of being, right, and belonging and just being true to yourself. So I'm happy to see those type of things for sure. And
when is another set of eyes a bad thing? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? Like, we're talking about being able to see it from as many perspectives as possible. And if you are a business, if you're not asking that of your own business, then your employees, if they want the most out of their careers and out of where they work, they want it for themselves. So I would hope that people keep it upon themselves to demand it of the places that they work.
Exactly.
I mean, ask Target if that's a good strategy to get rid of it.
Yeah,
well, that's good, man.
And I was gonna say, in the cybersecurity space, it's like if you want to find a needle in a haystack, you want 100 dudes thinking the exact 100 white dudes thinking exactly the same way. They have the exact same background and experience.
Hey, there's this thing called Conway's Law, where it's like, if you have people from the same mindset, and I read this book years ago about, I think it's called the digital bubble or something like that. But it was about, ironically, about like coding and things like this. I read this like maybe 5, 6 years ago. And it's like, if you put like a bunch of like Justin Timberlakes into a room together, who are like the most down ass white boys, who are like dancing, they doing songs with Jay-Z, they doing songs with Pharrell and Timbaland, and you put them together and you say, you go ahead, you got 9 Justin Timberlakes, you guys come up with an idea. It's like the odds that the idea will still come out racist, even though with the dopest, downest, invited to the cookout ass white boys, is because of that, right? Because they don't have that extra set of eyes, like, because they don't have that, hey, maybe we shouldn't say like it's cool to call myself a wigger or something. I don't know, like stuff like that, right? Like, so to your point,
Oh,
RC, like, yes, like be able
throwback
to have,
Thursday.
so you want to have more sets of eyes and more perspectives, because that's how we enrich ourselves.
Yeah.
And so let's jump into it. It is Juneteenth.
Mhm.
And most people think that this is the Black Fourth of July, which is just not the case. And it's something that we've celebrated as Black people for hundreds of years. In fact, since we freed ourselves from it, from enslavement. And I think there's just a lot of misconceptions about Juneteenth. I think RC shared a video, and you, Rami, shared it with me, like this of these people at what was it, they were at like some sort of auto body shop or something like that, and this white guy at the counter, and he's sitting there, some slack jaw, saying, "Oh, Juneteenth," and it's just some sort. Audio wasn't that
Like,
that great,
why is the
but the
bank closed
racist vibes
today?
were loud.
Yeah.
Go ahead, RC.
He's like, why is the bank closed today? And they're like, oh, it's that holiday they got there with the things, It's like blah blah blah. Maybe there was
What's
an
wrong
Obama
with
in there.
them?
I don't know.
Yeah.
What's
But
wrong
just
with
like,
damn monkeys? Why can't them monkeys be happy? We got the 4th of July. Now they need something. It's like, fool, you could be off too if you weren't so racist, or like you could enjoy or you could learn. But I think we talked about this in a few episodes ago, like the idea of having a singular narrative or a singular story being told. We talked about, I think it was when we had the episode with Franklin Ellis, who is a professor of, I'm going to say, some sort of maybe sociology program, but he does a lot of DEI work down in South Carolina. And I was telling him how Lonnie Bunch, when he first became the chair of the National Museum of American History back in the 70s, he said that when he joined, there was only one narrative that kept this country together. And then the next 4 words after that really stuck with me, where he said, "But not anymore." And now RC gets a story. Now Ram gets a story. Now Payron gets a story. It's not just George Washington had wooden teeth and cut down a cherry tree. It's now that, you know what, those were slave teeth. And some of the slaves or enslaved people's teeth, and some of those enslaved people might have been named XYZ or whatever the case may be. Like, we're expanding the aperture to RC's initial point of like having more people's perspective to say, how can we actually make this country a better place? And that is what scares them, because if they don't have control over the narrative, then they don't can have control over their people, and that's what they don't want.
Yeah. Well, in on the Waxhaw Facebook, so local, the city local to especially to pay around, but I think they tried to twist Juneteenth, which they're having a Juneteenth celebration tomorrow downtown, 6 p.m.
Makes sense. Right.
But
The 20th.
but there was people on the Facebook saying that, remember, it was 1.5 to 2 million Republican white men
Oh, they love this.
that freed the slaves.
They love that. Oh, they love it good. You know us. You know the Republicans free to them slave. They love that. And I always tell people, like, if you're, this is why I get so irritated when folks are like, oh, write your senators. I'm like, some people are too marginalized or too oppressed to be able to do those things. I'm like, if you think back about times during slavery, they didn't know if you were a state senator or if you were a part of the radical Republicans who were the closer to anti-racist party, or if you were a Dixiecrat. All they saw was this white person. Either you up on a nag, you up on a horse, or you up in the big house, or you got a shotgun to my back, and you are all a threat to us. So when they are so invested in saying, well, it was the Democrats that was, it's like, it's such a weak argument.
Yeah,
It's like,
but come on, we got to do better with rebranding.
we
That's
got to, but even then, that doesn't make sense, because it's like, well, if the Democrats were such this vile group of people that enslaved people, which is, I mean, again, whatever. then why are y'all flying the flag of the traitors? Why are you flying the flag of the Democrats with the Confederate flag? Like,
Right.
why are you doing that? You know,
Because
like it doesn't even make
Democratic
sense.
flag.
Why are you having that Democratic flag tattooed on your skin where it says, these colors
That's
don't
a
run?
fantastic counterpoint.
It doesn't make sense, man. But bigotry and hatred doesn't it
Doesn't
requires
have
people.
to, because the hatred narrative overtook whatever lineage that it had, and they just want to use the most powerful version of that thought.
Yes, yes. And I just think we're in such an upside down world where, I mean, to a degree, yes, I am glad that, folks are off today and got to enjoy themselves, but we're in a world where they're still banning books. You got Pete, was it Keg Breath out there, Pete Keg Breath out there, saying that he's taken off, Lieutenant Greg's off of ships, who was a part of the Triple 8, which is that movie on Netflix about the Black Battalion, I believe, that was doing mail carrier work during World War II, taking her name off ships, but they're restoring General Lee. And when folks are like, "Oh no, they're not racist," and it's like it's not just Pete Hegseth or Donald Trump. Racist people chose to vote for racist politicians who will enact racist interests. I just want people to have that straight line, because we put so much weight on the Pete Hegseths and the Donald Trumps, and we forget that 77 million people chose to vote for this stuff. Who said, "I want my interests to be maintained."
Clapping like seals, and they love it.
They love it. But Juneteenth, again, General Order Number 3 was read to folks in Galveston, Texas, letting them know that they were no longer enslaved. This was months after the Civil War had actually ended. The Civil War ended in April. Remember, Civil War was 5 Aprils. It only 4 years. That's how badass, I guess, that war was. 5 Aprils over 4 years. And letting them know with General Order Number 3, read by General Gordon Granger. So just a quick little history. And again, African people freed themselves. We forget, we talk about Nat Turner and how he had a slave rebellion, but we don't remember that there was over 250 armed slave rebellions that was intentionally suppressed for the American people not to know. So they thought that enslaved people enjoyed slavery, and my ancestors did not. They fought back. They did fakery. The number one thing that scared plantation owners wasn't that there were going to be some sort of insurrection or murder, but it was the fact that the idea of fakery. Fakery meaning that, "I don't know, boss, I'm blind." Now this is in the 1800s. You can't prove that I'm blind. Like, I'm blind. My back hurts today, boss. That is what killed them. Because it pokes a hole in the idea of white supremacy. How could this subhuman creature, this Negro, outsmart me? How can he trick me by telling me? And that's what puts fear in their hearts. And then that's where we're at now, where you have to have work requirements to get SNAP benefits or all these things. How we don't trust you to what you're saying. And even in my experience as a person, being double questioned and asked. So anyway, I'm going on way too long. Juneteenth, and then we got a picture, and we're gonna put this. Oh, go ahead.
What picture? Oh, when did you guys learn what Juneteenth?
I learned about it when I was a kid.
Really? Okay.
When it became nationalized.
Say what, RC?
When it became a national holiday, maybe a year before.
Yeah, that's about normal though. Yeah, I learned about it because we used to have celebrations in Pittsburgh for Juneteenth, so that's how I learned about it. Now,
there were none in Youngstown.
I didn't know anything about like the ins and outs of it. Like to a degree, I thought I learned it as like the Black 4th of July. Now, as I got older, right, I started to learn more about it, and especially in the most recent 4 to 5 years, I learned more and more about it. But yeah, what about you, Ron?
Probably my college years. Yeah. And
would you say it's about the same time as Tulsa?
No, Tulsa. I knew of earlier than Tulsa for sure. I knew Tulsa earlier than Juneteenth. And the Philly bombing and those type of things I knew before Juneteenth. But yeah, Juneteenth was later in life, and then obviously it wasn't observed until about, I think, as a federal holiday about 5 years
2022.
ago. Right.
2022.
3 years ago. Wow. Okay. So, but yeah, and now we have Trump that's working on, well, believed to be working on getting rid of it.
Yeah.
And here's what he had to say: too many non-working class holidays in America. It is costing our country billions of dollars to keep all these businesses closed. The workers don't want it either. Soon we'll end up having a holiday for every once working day of the year. It must change if we are going to make America great again. So the three of us are workers. Do you not want it?
No, I mean, people don't want off days. People don't want federal holidays. Yes, every other country has weeks and weeks on end, but in America, we just love the grind set, baby.
Yeah,
we just love
Absolutely.
we love the
Stress,
game.
anxiety, tension
Yes.
within our families, not having
Yes.
enough community time. That's what we're
Yes.
about.
I'm not.
We
I'm
love that
like
shit.
I'm mad that we only get to work 8 hours a day. It's 9 hours a
What's
day.
wrong
I'd
with
rather
y'all?
work 16. I was 20.
Come on.
Let's go for
In a
20.
coal mine.
Yeah,
Well, you got a place in the Republican Party because they're trying to let kids work again.
let's
There
get
we
rid
go.
of OSHA. Like OSHA just
Get
getting
rid
in
of
the
all of that
way. I
shit.
don't need my health. I gotta make money
No.
for the billionaire.
That's right. I need to suck the boot, not lick the boot. I need to suck the boot of a
I got the
billion.
black
No
book on
benefits,
top.
no healthcare, nothing. Just why are we getting these handouts? Healthcare?
My goal is to make sure billionaires can buy another yacht. That's it. And that's what makes me an American. And that's what makes me a God-fearing Christian
The
American,
only way
red-blooded.
out of this shit is socialism.
Well, don't say that. That's a scary word.
The only way out is giving people what they need.
Well, I mean, we do give people what they need now, but when you say people, those are billionaires. Those are people that we give stuff to. Now, we don't give shit to the people who actually pay more taxes.
No, they've got some stuff that we want, and we're going to get it.
That's right. That's right. All those safety nets. No, give all that shit to the billionaires. They'll figure it out. And I promise you, a little trickle will, if you just open your mouth like a baby bird, a little trickle will just fall into your mouth. And they'll say, "Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir." That's what America's about. That's what those big trucks are about you see on the highway. That's what those big guys with the neck beards and the "what's up, bro" and the guns. They love the 1%. They will never be the 1%, but they love them.
Meanwhile, the economy's been or the businesses have been growing, and the economy's been booming from Wall Street perspective for the last 5 years, and really since the beginning of time. However, that income gap has continued to grow between the top 1% and an even smaller percent of the 1%.
The have-gots and the
compared
have-nots.
to the rest of America, especially the bottom 50%. And so, I don't know how much what people think, especially on the Republican side that are again, clapping like seals. Those folks are not well off. They're not rich. They're not making over, they don't have a household income of over 400,000 a year, a majority of them. So
that's why you need the racism. That's why you need the hate.
The distraction.
Because
you gotta feel good on your way down.
That right. If the Republicans couldn't sell fear, people wouldn't have a reason to vote for them.
That's right. I mean, and you got Jerome Powell coming out today saying that you got inflation on the rise, and stagflation is right around the corner because those tariffs are going to start, just jacking everything up. You're not seeing wages increase. Yeah, you're seeing growth slow down to like 1%.
It's because the immigrants are taking your jobs.
Oh yeah, and the trans people, and that black guy that you don't like, that guy, that
are taking the work with them. They're taking the productivity with them as they are afraid and they self-deport and all this absolutely horrendous, inhumane bullshit.
Well, I gotta say, fellas, we are 5 months into this administration, and I will say, this is what looking great looks like as a country. If you think about it, you got people getting families ripped apart. You got masked vigilantes, pretty much just grabbing people off the street. You got people getting mass layoffs. You got sicknesses like measles running rampant and whooping cough coming back again like it's the 1920s. You got, ships being like the Enola Gay, taking off that name of the ship because the word gay's in it, even though it's the name of a person that served. That's just greatness.
For many years, there were offshoring jobs. These corporations, call centers, skilled labor, development jobs. Now that's being replaced by AI. That's why we see the race to, the AI war with Google, the Palantirs and the Teslas and all of the, and Bezos, Amazon, and that's really, and they don't want to regulate it. They're not protecting workers. The federal government said that they do not want states regulating AI for the next 10 years. The federal government has no
Think
intention
about that.
to add any regulation.
That's part of the big,
That's
beautiful butt.
worker protections.
That's right.
What I am telling you that is going to be a problem for the American workforce. It already is a problem. It just hasn't culminated.
So is automation. Like, you're talking about self-driving trucks, and like the #1 occupation of however many states for men over the age of yada yada is a truck driver. And you're going to have that many people out of work, and these people are already lone wolves, if you will. They aren't going to go through the retraining programs. They're going to sink inward, and it's not going to be good.
But it's only immigrants that are problems. So we got to get rid of
of course, right?
The brown ones, because
brown ones.
the white ones don't they don't take jobs.
All right, so I unfortunately did the dirty work of listening to the New York Times Daily interview with Tom Holman.
Oh, I love his voice. It's so beautiful and
Elmer Fudd.
More eloquent. I hate to say, he actually puts a couple sentences together in a long interview versus his just regular barking and looking like a thumb with a face or whatever.
His bleeding.
Yeah. So he basically was talking about how, if you'd have seen all the migrants stuck in the truck and they were dead, then you would understand why we can't have this trafficking, because even any kind of illegal immigration leads to all this bad shit. And then the follow-up in the interview was, okay, so then what does that have to do with, you said you're going after the worst and you're going into these workplace raids. How does 2 and 2 equate? And he would go back to that. And I'm just like, dude, that makes no sense. If you want to have a conversation about immigration, you have transformative law, but you start with amnesty, because everybody's here kind of getting down and everybody's been all right. So you want to go forward. It's about this moment on. We can't retroactively take people out of homes and break families apart. Like, there is no.
And Tom Holman's like, hold my beer.
Well,
yeah, he's like, actually, you broke the law because we just made it a law.
Yeah, and and they say, well, in undocumented means that there's no knowledge that you're still here, but we see them going into these courthouses where literally they're documenting,
doing the right thing.
They're doing the right thing. The one thing they said, just get in the right way, do the right thing, and they're all these people that are doing that, and they're basically saying no. And even I saw a video today of in Afghani translator who worked alongside the military, and he came here in 2022 when they pulled out of Afghanistan, thinking, and here he is at the courthouse doing what he thinks is right, and they're arresting him, who basically served in a patriot to the United States.
And everybody who's anybody says that if you send somebody back to Afghanistan from one of those positions, immediate, dude. Like, cool, good job. You just killed a dude.
Yeah, I mean, but again, it's Adam Server's great book and Peace in the Atlantic that turned into his book. But the title, the cruelty is the point. And like, once we can just finally, for once, on Juneteenth 2025, as a collective of people who are listening to our voices, can at least embrace that sentence. The cruelty is the point. Everything else makes sense. But when we're sitting here trying to negotiate with the cruelty is the point. We're trying to, get leverage on the cruelty is the point. When we're trying to understand the cruelty is the point. When we're trying to appeal to the cruelty is the point. Like, that is the shit that we're seeing from our political leaders in this moment. And folks who are just oblivious to what is this oncoming train. And I saw Sherilyn Ifill, who is running the 14th Amendment Project at Howard Law School. And she was on the short list to be a Supreme Court justice, and she was saying that hey, I don't know if we can stop this. And she wasn't saying this in a way like everybody give up, but she's like our mechanisms and guardrails that we usually use, I don't think those will stop this.
Norm versus cause.
Correct. Like it'll be us as a collective, hopefully waking up and not turning in on ourselves, but actively trying to fight this system. And we we have to go back to the times where folks had political change beyond the way that the 1% told us to, beyond the way that benefactors told us. Well, I think the right way to protest is this way. Do it on a Saturday when you're not stopping commerce, doing it at noon. No, like we have to do what they did in LA. You got to stop traffic. You got to shut the machinery down.
All
That's
day, every
and,
Yeah,
day.
and again, I talked about before we got on this episode, this blood in the machine. Again, how workers were like, "Hey, we are not going to be exploited by this new quote unquote invention of the loom machine in the 1800s." And now it's like it's AI and technology and these things that they're selling us that you need so much, but we forget that we've existed as a human species for hundreds of thousands of years without AI. And like
In a healthier state of mind.
yes, right, and like that's what we're kind of this hyper normalization that we have to reject. So
yeah, and
The technology is moving too fast for us to adapt.
yeah, and you know it's funny because tonight they're doing this inclusion and innovation, you know, it's the DEI talk, if you will. But one of the things that you mentioned, and
or
it
if you
applies,
won't.
and it applies here, you know, like in cybersecurity, like you can't defend, you know, what you don't understand, and certain things you'd miss if you weren't trained, right? And here we are listening to well, not we, but like the collective, especially Democrats, are listening to these establishment Democrats, these moderate, you know, Democrats who are saying, "Oh, well, you know, there's a certain way that you should protest, and a certain way you shouldn't do things."
And billionaires.
Yeah, and here they are. There's people who have, you know, been trained and have studied fascism, and they're telling you like if they're getting the fuck out the country. And they're
Right.
telling you like the warning they've been saying for the last 10 years, the warning signs are there, and they're telling you it's here. And but
They're
we're,
like, yo,
but here, you
hold
know,
on.
Hakeem Jeffrey, we're supposed to listen to Hakeem Jeffries and
Well, hold
Chuck
on now,
Schumer.
Ron. Wait a minute now. You are not gonna besmirch the name of Hakeem Isaiah Jeffries. I don't know if that's his middle name, but you will not besmirch his name because what did he say after Padilla got detained? He said, "We will respond at a time and manner of our
Of our
choosing." Okay,
choosing.
that is the most tough we're gonna get from our elected officials. Okay, so like, or let me do you one better. Or I think her name is Tina Peters from Minnesota, the senator from where the two folks got shot at. I think her name is Tina Peters
I
or
believe
Tina
so.
Smith.
It's
Well,
Tina.
the woman senator from Minnesota, she talked to based Mike Lee, that's his Twitter handle, and on his post with the you know this what happens on Wall Street, and she gave him a very stern talking to. She knew the Speaker of the House. That was her actual friend. Now listen, y'all my boys, you know what I mean, and I got friends out there that listen to this podcast. I got family. If someone shoots me, murders me in my bed with my wife, and someone that y'all know or someone out there that listen to if you know that person and they make a tweet like that, I expect you to get up in their shit. I don't expect you to have a firm, especially if we're friends, especially if we've shared memories, we've shared emotions, we've shared all. I don't expect you to give a firm talking to and try to get him to understand. But this is what we can get from a neoliberal political class, and I get it's like, well, there's norms. They don't give a fuck about norms. They are literally dancing in our blood.
Well, that's why if there is a future to be had, it will be done outside of the donor class, right?
Correct.
So there will be no top 1% on the Democratic Party unless they are just along for the ride.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Because
why, you know, go ahead. No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying like we have this Ken Martin guy,
Oh
who's
God.
the lead of the
Fan,
DNC, and I remember
Gatekeeper.
fan of the
reading
pod.
about him, and like his whole shtick was like donors. Like he was going to be the guy that was going to get all these donations, and then, you know, 2 weeks ago he's blaming David Hogg for his failures, saying
And what he also said,
David Hogg
he
stopped
said,
him.
I'm ready to get out of here. He said, I don't know if I want. He said, David's making it too hard for me. And then what did we see last week or this week? I think earlier this week, we see those two unions with Randy Weingartner and had the teachers union, and I didn't forget the other union, but in fact, there's a third union that said,
They
hey,
resign?
we were resigning. Because I saw the media try to like spin it. It's like, is it just because they've done their time? And it's also Malcolm Kenyatta. He was speaking. He's a vice chair of the DNC, and he was saying, well, you know, they've done their time, and you know, we appreciate their service, but everybody has their time. They move on. It's like, no, 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 no. Y'all are not going to spin this. Like these are people who, in their letters, said straight up, Like the direction y'all are going is not a direction that we feel like will be amenable to our union members, to our people, to society. And we got to be real about this shit because what Democrats are trying to do at this moment is trying to do this whole like we are so good, even though they're not offering any material change to the conditions that honestly a lot of them have helped shepherd in that have allowed the right to have such a stranglehold on, of course, their base, but also kind of making some inroads. So like it's the material condition shit, but it's really hard to fight against the 1% when the 1% is also lining your coffers.
Yeah.
Well,
So
okay. So everything lines for capitalism. If everyone plays along with capitalism on the right and the left, it will always skew towards the right because capitalism skews towards the right.
That's right.
So if we play along in the same media ecospheres and if we play the same cable news games, we're never going to win out, or the people are never going to win out on that front because it just doesn't lean towards them.
That's right. So well, here, because true, like, you know, the only thing that actually would stop this would be trying to threaten capital. And liberals know that, you know, socialist movements threaten capital, you know, collective bargaining, people been having access to, you know, universal things and programs like healthcare and, you know, education and infrastructure and all these things, and a jobs program, universal basic income. We can go on, right? But like they know that. So what do? Instead, they turn on their base. This happens across history. This is just not an American phenomenon. This happens because it happened in Germany. The Liberal Party was like, well, you know what? We are going to side with our moneyed interest, who is on the side of fascism, and this is the way we're going to go. And that's what's happening here. So yeah, the Democrats need to figure it out locally, and they have no platform that represents the material conditions that folks don't want to talk about.
Yeah, and then, you know, moving kind of on to the next, but like they have no legs to stand on. Right, because here we are on the, you know, presumably the eve of, or, you know, near the United States and Trump possibly attacking Iran due to Netanyahu's whims and wishes. Right, so we're now playing this game again. Now that Democrats have co-signed the genocide of Palestine. You know, what can they say? And I haven't heard much about from the Democrat. I've actually heard more.
Wait a minute. You have, and what it is you have Chuck Schumer out there. What did he say? He said, you know, all the shit going on domestically, the Democrats could talk about, or even internationally. What did he say last week? He came out with this like nursing home video where he's sitting in a chair, kind of like this, kind of off to the side, looking at the camera, and he says, "Trump is taco on Iran." Trump's not that serious. Trump doesn't. Wait, he's not taking them. He's doing backroom deal. What kind of bull is this?
All right, so I hear a really old Biden clip, and I forget who he was talking about, but he was giving somebody hell over like any kind of discrimination. And he
was that the South Africa clip where he's talking about?
Yeah. He was laying the wood. He's like, those South Africans are black, and we're not just gonna sit here with this puppet regime. Do they want? I'm like, yeah, all right. What's up, Joe? What's up, Joe? From a long time ago. That was really cool. But like, we've seen his decline. I'm like, where was fiery Schumer? How the fuck did he get to where he's at besides being just a little smarmy glad-hander or something, man? Like, what is the substance? What is the appeal? And what the fuck is he still doing there?
Well, it's the interest. It's the AIPAC. It's the AIPAC interest, right? I mean, Chuck Schumer's been an ardent Zionist and ardent AIPAC, you know, lobbied congressperson back when he was in Congress before he became a senator. You know, he spoke at AIPAC conventions countless times. So we had to, as we talk about money, interest, and dark money, and Citizens United, all of this stuff flows. And I mean, it's not a part of our show today, but I'm sure y'all seen those clips of Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz. And I mean, look, let them fight.
Yeah, it's like what? But
I've heard more opposition to going into Iran from, and maybe because of the
from Martin Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson,
like on the right, than I have from Democrats, right? And so
because Democrats are always trying to pull. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Arsene. Go ahead.
They were just isolationists to the bone for the past decade. And even Trump, when he came onto the scene, talking about how Iraq was a complete clusterfuck and a total lie to the American people, you got the same exact thing going on right now. But then you see his narcissism creep in, right? Like, I would love to not be in a foreign war, but these guys did such a good job. I'm going to say that I was part of it, even though I wasn't, because I gotta have the accolades. And even if I have to turn my back on the supposed message that I've had for maybe 20 or 30 years.
Yeah. So,
and I think this is what I'm sorry, Ron, but I think this is what MAGA voters are. They're realizing bro, you're just a pawn, man. Like they needed to whip you up with all these lies. They needed to whip you up with all of this stuff, and now you're realizing that this is not a populist movement, right? They're supposed to be responsive to the people. The people meaning middle America, rural white people. But like they're realizing, hold on, I didn't want forever wars. My dad came back from this war, and he committed suicide, and like they're realizing I'm not. Do I think these are our fans or allies? No, but I also realize I think hopefully the light bulb's popping on in their head, and it might take years to unwind or never unwind. That's also not my ministry for them to get over that shit. But I think we're seeing a fissure on the right only because of the massive size of the right's media presence.
Yeah, I don't know how long this kumbaya in MAGA will sustain, because they all kind of eventually fall in line. But the problem is that Trump he will sell out. He's sold out to the highest bidder, right? And so whoever's lining his pockets, Netanyahu will say, well, we're going to give you Gaza, we're going to give you a Trump Tower in Gaza, so you need to back us in Iran. But he's got the tech bros and that he owes. He's got Netanyahu, he's got Putin. It's not sustainable, and like as much as this term for Trump in terms of maintaining control of his cabinet is obviously better than his first. His first was just turnover city, but at some point it will shit will hit the fan. They'll start selling each other out. I think we've seen some of that a little bit with potentially Tulsi. We'll show that clip here in a minute, but
don't and as I say on the show a lot too, don't forget that infighting on in the right-wing regimes is very, very common. The Nazis were always stabbing each other in the back. That they were literally always doing that. So just don't be shocked. I mean, or don't be like, oh man, this is a good, this is normal for an authoritarian, because they're all megalomaniacs. They're all narcissists. Sorry, RC.
No, it's all distrust. Why there's so many generals executed as soon as there was any kind of whiff of
dissent or anything.
Solidarity.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no diversity.
Well, this is what you get. This is their culture. This is the culture of a religious.
Two schools of thoughts for the first time.
You can't blame nobody else at this point.
I love that people are coming out and saying, and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson are saying Fox News is lying to you. They're just ginning up the old people.
That was crazy. That was a crazy clip.
Also, they're Nazis. They're Nazis. That's a lot of these people.
But the thing is, the base is Nazis. The base. I'm not saying the base are all Nazis, but what I'm saying is the base has these racial resentments. They have these religious resentments because they themselves have been propagandized since they were children. So when you're 80 years old now and you're sitting there with a MAGA hat on, you got a breathing tube in, and you don't got health care, you're living in a double wide, your resentment will not turn towards the system. There's that old phrase, there's a reason a small man loves his country, because it's all he's got. And that is exactly what they've been sold. Now, things for black people, we've never been sold that shit. We've been told this shit was on your fucking neck, and it is your responsibility to keep this shit afloat. So we've always had to strategize to survive, and this is why we've had more community. But this is why isolation works on the right, because they are preying on those people, and those people are victims. Don't get me wrong; those people are absolutely victims. The problem is in the Republican base, there's people like a Kyle Rittenhouse, Daniel Penny, George Zimmerman, Sophia, what's her name, the lady Shiloh Hendricks. That's not my responsibility to go make common cause with them. It's on those people or people around them that love them to say, hey, you know what? We've all been sold a raw deal. Because those people, they could potentially kill me. They could kill my children, right? All these right-wing police officers with the back, the blue, but you guys are all foot soldiers. You guys are stormtroopers for the empire. You don't realize it, but that's how it comes out in the wash.
Yeah. So on the Daily Show, they again kind of puts together some of the most groundbreaking journalism at this point. or at least puts it together, right? But
Always good.
I'm gonna go ahead and play a clip from
Okay.
because Netanyahu's been selling us this for. I actually remember when
Now this is a new thing.
I remember when he
Netanyahu's
came.
never
You remember
said-
when he came to the UN in what? I don't remember what year it was. Maybe in the last, it was during Trump's term or Biden's term, and he not the UN. He came to Congress.
Yeah.
And he was warning us the same thing, and he had a little bomb. I don't even know if that's in this clip, but he had like a little bomb, and it was like, you know, here's how. But here we go.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the rich uranium for an atom bomb. Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear...
So this is like
new news. New
weapons
news.
of mass destruction, Iraq.
But like a lot lazier. That's the problem. Like it's a lot lazier. It is the same. I agree, but it's also like a lot lazier.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be, because who are they trying to convince? I mean, look, remember George W. was, I think, you know, the what do you call it, the idiot? Well, he was an idiot.
Okay.
But,
yes.
Useful
Stay
idiot,
there. That's
useful,
fine.
useful,
Stay right there.
idiot.
Useful idiot, right? Because
you had
useful.
Dick, sure.
You had Dick Cheney, who had the master plan, and you know, I actually do think that Bush was manipulated and fooled to a degree, but he went ahead and carried it out. This whole he got us into Afghanistan, he got us into Iraq. You know, and I think
Colin Powell.
4,000 soldiers in Iraq, hundreds of thousands of Iraqi citizens.
A million.
Okay, so, and then
a million people wiped off.
And then what? And there was no weapons of mass destruction, right? So,
right, but like that was a 2-year campaign, right? That required Colin Powell going to UN, holding up a vial of powder and these, like, you know, 3D models and all. It's now they're just like. They're just saying it right now, like, guys, we have a week.
Away.
We have no, not even 2 weeks. We have 1 week. 1 week, and if not, Western civilization, meaning white people, we're going away. We're going away, guys.
Trump just said today that he's going to think about it for up to 2 weeks. So doomsday could happen at any second, but he will be mulling it over seriously.
Very nice.
In the meantime, yeah.
I mean, and we get a thoughtful president. That's good. But he also said that he may change his mind. He changes his mind daily, and he said that he may make up his mind right before he makes a decision. So that's also good too.
And that's why we need to get the War Powers Act like straight up onto the Senate floor, and there needs to be such a clawback of that like most fundamental right of the Congress. Take it away from the executive. We are done with this. There is no Patriot Act. There is no immediate threat or invasion, so it doesn't go to you anymore.
But I think this is what we're seeing, the failure of populism or faux populism. We're all kids fighting over the toy steering wheel in the car. Like the corporate, the arms manufacturers are running this country. The billionaires are running this country. It's profitable to go to war. We all know this. It's extremely profitable, right?
Oh, like, yeah. I mean, because like there's a place in Ohio that makes a lot of Bradley tanks, and they've been making them every day for 40 years. We haven't had no wars. So if you have a couple extra, you give them to the local police force, and it's a write-off. The money still keeps coming into the Pentagon.
That's right. That's right. And what's those type of missiles? I think they're called. It was the THAADs or something. One of those missiles. They're like some badass missiles that, in fact, that Israel uses for the Iron Dome. The United States can only make like 30 or 40 of those a year. And when Israel probably burned through them shits over the past 2 years with the genocide going on and them taking shots from Lebanon and from Hezbollah.
And they're taking arms from Ukraine.
You were correct. Yes. So like this, and you can't just turn on the factory like, okay, we need to now make 400. That's not how that works. So like, but this is what you get when you have leadership that is And I think Netanyahu's going to be, pulling Trump by the nose or leading Trump by the nose. And we're going to be in a situation where, like, your kids are going to have to go die for Israel. Because
There
my
are
son,
literally no experts in the room anymore. They're just
no,
personalities. If you see any clips of Pete Hegseth getting asked the fundamental questions
about
about
anything.
about anything, it's fucking disgusting. And everyone just ends their comments with, "You're a disgrace. Here's your resignation letter. Just please, just sign it and go on your way."
The problem is there is no shame in this administration.
None.
We need to go back to a time where shame reigns supreme. But we are at a time where it does not, unfortunately.
Yeah, and so Iran has a population that's about double of Iraq. The military is almost triple the size, and so I don't know what.
And the geography is four times the size of Iraq.
A military who's stronger than Iraq. So it's not like this is again. But Iraq was supposed to be in and out. I don't know how many. Well, we were in Iraq for like 15 years, right? At least.
Right.
So I don't know. And then I see people saying like Trump needs to bomb a nuclear site that bunker bust or whatever they call it that goes underground. It's like, I mean, look, it's like y'all are psychotic.
But if you ask someone during the election in one of those diners, that they said those are the real Americans with the hats and the flannels and they're drinking the coffee and they're eating the real eggs and biscuits. If you ask them, hey, what is your number one concern? Do you think it's the Ayatollah Khomeini in Iran? Like, no, like they're trying to sell this shit to us as like we see real problems right here. And the idea that you're going to get us all whipped up after we've seen genocide for 2 years now, and we're seeing, the military industrial complex in full bore, to be like, wait a minute, do we need to get into another war? Kind of like on Step Brothers, like, do we just become best friends? Like, it's like, do we need to get into another war right now? Like nobody's going to be into this besides some, idiot kid.
And so he's in weapons of mass destruction. Like, okay, United States technically has weapons of mass, like other countries,
right?
Why
do we have
arbiter of
fuck out of here?
Who can have them and who can't? And
that's right.
We talk about Israel has the right to defend themselves. Well,
Israel has nukes,
but we talk about Israel as if part of the global nuclear alliance. They are not. They
are
opt
not
out of that. They're the only people who decided to opt out. So
that's right.
We cannot let them be the chosen country in that fashion any longer.
No.
Like, if you want to flex, obviously, here's the thing, right? Like, aren't there countries and regimes that you would not want to have nuclear weaponry? Yes. But haven't we seen the worst of the worst have them for decades and still not utilize them?
But RC, I'll say this. Only one country has ever dropped a nuclear bomb on another country, and they did it twice. And that was us.
Yep.
In Japan, in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
No,
so,
I mean,
this whole even this framing that like, oh, America, should this country have it? Should that country? It's like, who the fuck are we? We are a country that have stolen land, that have had enslavement, that has had apartheid, and then we're the country now that has this moral high ground.
Yeah, and
no.
As we were at the point where we might have been the only people to keep the genie in the bottle. If you saw Oppenheimer, there was a chance back then where Russia was not going to have them at all.
Yeah.
Right.
And
right.
so President Barack Obama he got a treaty done with Iran. And what did Trump do when he came to office in his first term? He got rid of it. Right. And
so again, all of this shit is because of Donald Trump. Don't forget that. Like, Obama had the JCPOA that took 2 years to negotiate. 7 countries got involved. And then Donald Trump gets in, and since he hates everything that has Barack Hussein Obama on it, he has to jettison it. And now we're in this position where, because guess what? If Iran did have a nuclear weapon, Israel might think twice about what the fuck they're doing. But now we're in a position where they wanted to have the nuclear capability to get, I think, up to 60% of enrichment, which is enough for civilian use. Because I think for bombs you have to have it up to 90%. I believe. I'm not a nuclear scientist. I know I play one on TV, folks. But it's up to 60%. And they're like, hey, it is the glasses. But like that's what they wanted to get to. But like now we're at a point where we're just at this detente, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So I think Tulsi had a little something to say.
The audio stream cut off. I got a message. The audio stream might have cut off.
The audio stream cut off. Let me see here.
Hold on, folks. Hold on, folks. I don't know. I don't know anything about technology. I know about nuclear technology. I don't know anything about podcast technology.
Nuclear?
Nuclear computers. It's computers. It's all computers.
No,
I hear a little something.
I think we're good. No, we're
okay.
Good. I don't know.
All right.
But
anyway,
who's sabotaging?
So we are going. It's them. It's them. It's whoever you want it to be. It's the trans. It's the blacks. It's the nuclears. It's the brown Arabs.
Podcast the other night.
It's whoever you hate. That's who's doing it.
So here.
No, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on the story, folks. We are actively. Oh, but yes, this is a really good gut check that they're not serious people.
Building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program.
What we informed and what we reported was that we did not have, as in coincidence with some of the sources you mentioned there, that we did not have any proof of a systematic effort to move into a nuclear weapon.
So,
there you go.
You got his director, Trump's director.
Well, who do you believe? Do you believe people who, before we had any pretext, who were just reading a report, or do you believe Donald Trump on Truth Social? Who do you believe?
Well, I believe because she is always over there with the Russians. And the Russians know quite a bit about Iran.
I'm with you. I'm saying, but like, if you're reading a report, but before this became détente, before this became, but I think she was just reading a report from the agency. I don't think that she was like, oh, let me try to like be on the side of Iran. You know what I mean? Like, if anything, these are war hawks. These are neocons.
I mean, I trust my dog Gunther more than I trust Trump. So, I mean, like, in terms of like nuclear intelligence.
I think Trump just wants to he wants to look tough. That's also a big problem of a narcissist, that he cannot look weak. We talked about it last week. These are submissive men, whether it's Robert Burns, whether it's Donald Trump with his Pete Hegseth. These are all submissive men. And this is why Trump loves to laud dictators and strongmen, like Kim Jong-un, and look what Russia's doing, and look what it's like, dude, you are such a bitch, bro.
You see somebody calling him they refer to Trump as a strongman, and in the context of like a dictator, and I think it was Tucker or somebody. It was one of those guys that was like, they call him a strong man. Like, who wouldn't want to be a strong man? He's strong.
He's a dick taster. All right, so moving on, folks. We have one more story.
I got to play this one more clip that
one more clip.
RC sent us because
again,
the hypocrisy is strong. And this is Trump's own words.
We're swimming in the deep end of it.
Mind you.
Yes. Trump versus Trump.
Okay. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction. Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced for president, took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a
presidential candidate who kind of solidified his place as a front runner for the nomination, maybe in that very debate. He was kind
of cooking, and that was what, 15 years, almost 15 years ago now, 12, but
15 years ago.
when he wasn't mentally declining, right? He's completely mentally declined, but we're not ignoring that. But
it's funny because he still does that over talking stuff, but it's a lot less powerful.
Yeah, I'll leave it at this. He's just, they're saying, oh, he's negotiating, he's doing his art of the deal, right? I mean, where did that end up in Russia and Ukraine? He gave up. There's no deal. He said it for months. And
day one, he's gonna have that shit ended.
No, y'all are getting it wrong. Y'all are both getting it wrong. I'm sick of this. You will not besmirch my man, Dementia John Trump. You will not.
One of the words.
Donald Trump said he will end it before his first day in office.
Right.
Okay, so to hell with y'all. Okay, he said
on a couple
before.
of his clandestine pre-inauguration trips he made over there.
Yes,
Yeah,
which never made sense. Even when he said it, it's like, well, if you would end it before you get in the White House, why don't you end it right now on the campaign trail?
And all these things have consequences, man. It's like and that's what they don't care about the human life. They don't care about having millions
Ones
of
and
people
zeros
flee Tehran because of a tweet. Like, it's crazy. They don't care about the 300,000 that people the USA just killed. All this shit they don't care about. But
one death is a tragedy.
Why should I? Why should I? I'm trying to get another yacht
because we don't have to see them in 2. They're brown, right? So who cares? What else we got?
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk about because we talked about Alex Padilla last week when he got arrested. I think me and RC talked about that. But we're seeing more violence towards elected officials, and we'll probably end with this story here. We had New York City Comptroller. I think his name is Brian Landry, right? And he's also mayoral candidate. Lander. I'm sorry, Lander. And if you're in New York City, listen to this. Please rank him number 2 behind Zoran. Because they are cross endorsing one another. So
Zoran's gonna win.
I'm feeling it. So he was there asking for a warrant, not just these BS warrants that they have, but an actual judicial warrant. And they clearly felt the need. And look at this guy, like they're dressing for like a damn Abercrombie and Fitch. And the guy with the backward New York cap on, this little small mask, small statured men. And it also is not shocking to me that they have these people that you put the video back up a little bit. That they have, there's an Asian fellow there. They do have these people of color doing this stuff, right? Because to kind of prove that.
But they all just look like bros cut from the same cloth, like a shade off or something.
Exactly, a bunch of incels who are clearly lost. If you look at these guys' faces, they're like, "Oh, do I do this now?" I mean, even that Asian guy, as he's there, he's like, "I mean, and then I think Brand Lander said himself that they were like, so do we take the New York City Comptroller too? So he himself, they know what is going on. They know that
he's been there for weeks ushering in
Right.
They knew his face, they knew what he was doing there, they knew he was not a threat, and yet they took it upon themselves to discuss it beforehand. And they want to say that he was making the spectacle. Are you fucking kidding me? It's the exact opposite.
That's right. But this is someone who's putting it out there, putting it on the line. And when we talk about people who are able to put their money where their mouth is and actually, use their privilege, it's that we need more elected officials getting arrested. Because what they're trying to do is scare us to say, well, if they could do this to them, they could do. You're already doing it to us. Okay, I watch a video every day of ICE almost snapping someone's neck, breaking their teeth out of their jaw. So the idea that but what we're saying is we got to stand together in that fight. We need our elected officials to stand together in our fight. If we're all going to get the shit knocked out of us, elected officials who are getting government health care and they're getting a permanent pension and all that stuff, we need y'all to get arrested.
Yeah.
And on this ICE thing, Rom, I'm going to need your help because I need to find a way to propose a resolution at the next Monroe meeting. And I wanted to kind of echo the Law Enforcement Identification Act that was brought forth by Chris Murphy. And so if Monroe doesn't want to act as a sanctuary city and North Carolina doesn't want to act as a sanctuary state, that's one thing. But if you're going to conduct law enforcement in the city, you're going to have your identification clearly labeled. You are not allowed to wear a mask, or it's going to be poisoned fruit or whatever the hell you want to call that, because it's not going to be admissible. These are the types of things that are we can bring this up and then we can actually negate any arrest that you make as long as we can get enough people on the side of it. Not only that, but I want to say I don't want any these Durangos with just lights in the grill. I gotta be worried about any Durango going down the street or any
I always hated Durangos.
No. I remember when I got a Yukon, my friend was like, let's hop out the Yukon and grip up some people. I'm like, what?
Everyone's doing it.
But what if I don't want the people to know who I am?
Well, that's my whole thing, right? And we talk about policing, serving and protecting, and the difference between the American cop car and the European cop car that is brightly marked so that you can go towards it. because they are there to help you and not go away from it and try to hide in the bushes. You know what? Like, I want to know what every single sheriff or Monroe City police car looks like. I want it accounted for. And unless you're a detective doing undercover stuff, you better have I want a bright pink car. You're not hiding, and you can't pretend to be a cop anymore, because we've seen people doing so much stuff that extradition in an unmarked van is a couple months away, and now they're deputizing all these like bounty hunters and stuff, 3,000 bucks a head. You have people who aren't even qualified to kidnap somebody.
That's right.
Yeah,
and I mean, we forget most of these people are police washouts. Right. They couldn't make the police academy.
Gym class washouts first.
Well, and
of course, clearly.
But that's the thing. Like the three of us could, we could put on a hoodie, a bulletproof vest, and a mask, and we could just say we're ICE. And literally, like, people at this point, but that's the ICE uniform. Like, we would, put a gun on our hip. And these are all things. And just hop in the car and like hop out, and then we could literally just say we were ICE. And this is ICE impersonators were a thing before the last 2 or 3 months. I mean, these were stories in the news, even before Trump's turn.
There was a lady recently. A guy came to her business, and he had on an ICE, I guess I don't know what the hell it is. I guess bulletproof vest, and robbed her for like $2,000.
Yep.
So like, but as these people who want to protect the children and protect women, this is all leading to that. People who
identify yourself.
Right. So like, again, these are tagged, and I'm so sick. People like, don't say that they're Nazis. Don't say that they're the Gestapo. Well, stop acting like the fucking Gestapo or the Klan. And we don't have
behavior.
And this country doesn't even have to go to the whole like Nazis, because the Nazis were informed through the Klan. So they learned of this stuff, the way the Klan moved, because they wore masks. They were your lawyers. They were your doctors. They were your police captains. But then at nighttime, they put them hoods on, so they could not be identified. And right now, I do believe a lot of people are probably militiamen or pardoned January 6ers. And we think about the shooter in Minnesota, and he that mask that he had on. What color mask was that? Why did that matter? Why does that matter in the society? I'm not trying to make everything about race, because I hear all the time, oh, you make everything about race. But no, seriously, because if it was just about the uniform or the badge or the lights, but why did he choose to put on a mask that looked white? And why did other cops let him go when they saw him and he drove past them? That's what I'm saying. So these people are always in bad faith. They understand what's at stake, and they are working to make this country look like a way that none of us wanted to look. But they have a very clear vision of where they want to go.
We're not the ones. Hey, we're not the ones that made this country about race. We're not the ones that founded this country on race.
We didn't invent race.
By race. We're not the people. We're not who. The current administration has made every single issue about race, whether or not they say it.
We didn't invent it, Rom. As I always say, we didn't invent this, but we actually have to deal with the consequences of systems that were built with racism at its core. Every single system.
And this is
education, healthcare, policing, the law, housing. You name it. I mean, this is the reason why we had a red line. There's going to be a Latino district, or they call them a Mexican district here, a black town here. These were all things created due to the invention of race. Before 1619,
it is want to make the excuse. Nobody's assimilating.
Right. But this is why they're mad. But this is why, I mean, and to go back to our top story, but this is why they're mad about Juneteenth. It's like, well, why do they need a day? I don't have a day, because you've always been synonymized with being an American.
Yeah,
we have not. As Toni Morrison said, white people get to be American. Everybody else is hyphenated.
So, Payron, I think I know there was one other topic. I'm curious a little bit about. I don't know much on the topic before. I know we were trying to wrap up, but something you want to talk on Sunday. But just give an overview. I know there was a big Supreme Court decision.
Yeah, I'll do a little deeper on Sunday. But yes, the USB Scarametti case. I actually did one of my TikToks. I did 100 videos counting down to the election. Prior to election day, so every day it was a video. But this is actually one of the videos that the Gays for Groomer, when they were trying to dox me, They took a screenshot of me. He was like, "Oh, he's a fan. He's a fan of trying to rape little kids, something crazy like that." But there's a video where I was educating of the case going through the Supreme Court at the time, through the attorney Chase Strangia, who's a trans man himself, and basically it's saying that they're going through all the uh, research and study that trans kids do need to have access to gender affirming care. Gender affirming care does not always mean chopping off peepees and breasts, as that's what all these right wingers, because they have an obsession with genitals. But it's about like care can be having a therapist. Care can be making sure that you have access to the right sort of clothing. Care can be making sure you're in an environment that is not discriminatory. All those things are care. The Supreme Court said, well, if you're in a state that wants to get rid of that shit, then you can go fly a kite. And this will absolutely kill people. And most people are like, well, I'm not trans. I don't have any trans people in my family. This can also be weaponized against you as a straight cisgendered person or someone who does not have anybody in your family that does not, because what they're saying is, who can we deny healthcare to? We can just say
simultaneously cutting off the LGBTQ
that's right.
Suicide hotline funding.
Yes.
Yeah, the cruelty is the point.
Thank you. See, once you stay there, it all makes sense. You don't have to sit here and be like, well, why are they doing this? And then you don't have to sit there and do the work for them. Right. Yeah. You don't have to try to do the work for them and give them excuses of why they're doing this shit. They're doing this because they're hateful people and they want to go at every single group, whether you're immigrants, whether you're trans, whether you're LGBT, whether you're black, whether you're a woman, whether you're poor. They're coming for all of us.
Yeah. No wonder they hate DI. Like they hate any sort of diversity. And this is where the intersection is. Like if you're white and gay, lesbian, trans, like they will hate you. If you do anything that is non-standard, your non-standard issue white male, like they do not have anything to do with you, and they're trying to erase you. And it's crazy to me that like you want this bland ass, unseasoned ass world of in this giant world where white folks make up 9%, and there's Christians and there's
on the planet
Muslims, there's
7%,
7%, there's Jewish, and there's atheists, and there's all these different things, and it's like, oh, we just have to be this, like, these people are batshit insane, they're boring, they're bigots. They're the worst of the worst. It's just so annoying. Like, what's the best thing about traveling? Is learning about other cultures and meeting people that you don't look like you, and hearing other languages, and so like these love languages and all these sorts of accents and stuff. Like that's the best part. These people just like they just want to live in their little podunk towns and live in their hold on to their dollar. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
But what they're offering. Go ahead, RC.
I was like, who knew that there was a playground and a street in Buenos Aires that could be that beautiful?
Right.
Or my God, like just use your fucking imagination. Like I know that a lot of I just been wanting since I was like 5 years old, right? Or when I was in kindergarten, I was like, I want to see what it's like to be in the kindergarten down the street.
Right.
Because it's the same day at kindergarten, but it's in a completely different spot. And so that's going to change my whole perspective. And that's right. You're going to walk through your day a little different with that.
Well, and last thing I'll say is this on this topic is what they're trying to sell the world is this is the last place for people that consider themselves white. This is the last, a great escape before it all goes to hell. This country, this border that we drew, these arbitrary lines, this is so come here, South African refugees who are now like, I don't have anything. I need to go back to South Africa. But if I do that, I need to get rid of my refugee status. This is the place for you. Please come here. If you are racist and you hate all those others and you're a Christian, come here. This is your place. But the problem is they have always needed all of us. They have always needed all of us. And they can't change that story no matter what.
And they really think that they can get rid of all of these people. Like they can't. It's a fool's
can't. Obama was the king of that. The deporter in chief. He deported, I think in his first year, 400,000 people. Trump ain't gonna get close to that.
Well, a lot of those figures, I'm thinking about it, a lot of those figures count for border redirections. And so now that there is so much less traffic at the southern border, that's why you see those numbers go down. And that's why they have to keep going forward to get more.
Yes, the militarization of the border, 100%. So, but folks, No, this is good. We're trying to get close to our Thursday shows being an hour. We're at an hour 10. I feel pretty good about that. That's solid. That's muy bien.
Right.
But no, folks. Are there any last words that you guys have before we head out of here? I know Rom, you had a final charge on our rundown you sent to us.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, I think again. So it's Juneteenth, right? It's time to do something a little bit different. I think yes, we observed Juneteenth. We might even go to Juneteenth outing, but let's try to do some economic empowerment, right? So go spend money at a Black-owned business. Spread the word about your favorite Black-owned business. This week, I think in Indian Trail, there's Kathy's Coffee. I went to. It's good coffee. There is the what's the music spot? Payron and I just actually got to hang out with our kids for the first time on Sunday.
Our kids like each other more than me and Ron like each other. So
yeah,
awesome.
They hit it off. And what's the music spot?
The place where my son goes to piano lessons. It's called the House That Rocks. Ran by a brother named Tyrus from Chicago. Mm-hmm. So in fact, I just saw him on Monday. I was like, "Oh, you bet my podcast co-host." He was like, "Man, I meet so many people." I was like, "Yeah, I guess that makes sense."
I stumbled in his shop one day. So
yeah,
I was like, "Do they do piano lessons? Because I'm looking to get Vivian started."
They do everything. They said they do every instrument. They do vocal lessons.
I will get that contact information.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the House of Rocks, Black-owned business, cool brother from Chicago. He's played in Singapore, Thailand, all over the world. He's a super cool guy, and he always talking about politics too. He's like, "Oh, hey, what's going on with all this?
And
what's going on with what's going on?"
And one more thing I'll say, I think we talk about these protesters, and what comes of it. I think there's a lot that can be learned, and a lot more that we can squeeze out of these protests. But we got to remember, it's still your friends, and even if they're like-minded, right? Your friends, your neighbors, and they're like, "Oh, well, I can't do anything. I vote." Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to vote our way out of this. And
that's right.
I know a lot of people who aren't necessarily into politics so much that they don't want to hear it. But you know what? Whether it's
time to get woke,
whether it's at least volunteering somewhere to a cause that's important to you, but it's going to take a lot. It's going to be collective. It's going to require more than 3 to 5% of the country. So get your people involved. Help figure out how they can talk to them and see what their skill. With your friends, right? See what their skill sets are. Say hey, you know what? I need you to produce my podcast, or I need some marketing material, or things like that, and just be creative with it. So, all right. Well, if you're still listening, please share.
Yeah, we gotta start leading with that. We gotta start saying that at the top of the show. Mm-hmm. If we have a producer that could give us a rundown, RC. No, I'm joking.
Already, bro. I'm ready for the post episode get down. That was item number 1. So you got me.
Cool. All good. Well, folks, thanks for listening in to the Radical Roots podcast. I'm your co-host, Ron Baxter.
I'm co-host Ron Sandoval,
and I'm Ron Cabuno.
We will see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Peace.
Light skin that turn up. Bitch, I'm built different. Yeah. Put a little. Built different.
So my thought was, if you want to have a full 2 paragraphs of an intro that you want to just read off, because I know you have.
Turn your teaching templates into profit.
I can't hear you.
Hold on 1 second.